Welcome, everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte. I don't have a fantasy football intro, so that's the one that I decided to go with. It really has nothing to do with the 49ers today, as the 49ers will not lose today, guys. Good news for anybody who's tuning in on that, because the 49ers do not play today, and that's a beautiful thing. But we are here for fantasy football advice, and I have two guests with me of the We're Talking Football pod. Got Weston and Lou. What's up, guys? You're here to answer some questions for me and help me out here with help get some other people some wins.
That's what I came here for. And I know, Jason, we're not talking Niners today, but that intro was fire. Got me a little pepped up. I still got my Niners gear on regardless.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say my fantasy football team is pretty much cooked after the last 4 weeks. I had 4 guys going IR in every week, so I'm ready to focus on other people's teams today.
Right, absolutely. And the good thing is that I don't have to focus in on 49er misery today. What I can do is I can just sit here and I can go ahead and talk about other football teams. So real quick, before we get into the questions, I'll let everybody get a chance to roll in. We've got some active inactives right now. So James Robinson officially active, Ramondre Stevenson active, Zach Moss, and Chris Godwin are goes today. Inactive, Jonnu Smith, that came out of nowhere, honestly. And Zach Wilson, obviously, is inactive, with Mike White, with a little bit of a tidbit that came out today from Ian Rappaport that if Mike White plays well, he'll get another start, even though Zach Wilson is the future. Seems like the 49ers' way of not letting things develop has traveled its way over to East Rutherford with all those 49ers coaches as well, too. So, Sin, I got you in here. Help my fantasy team, please. Fire away. If you guys have any questions, I only ask that you guys give me your options, give me your format. Let me know, your position, and maybe I guess 1 or 2 other people on there. Whatever your options are, and we'll try to give you the best. We'll try to give you the best advice that we can. But I wanted to touch on real quick. Oh, here we go. Here we got our first one from I Am Fake Jesus. Okay, not the real Jesus. Have PPR flex Brandon Eyuk. I'm assuming that's Elijah Moore and Antonio Gibson. Weston, you want to go first?
Yeah, so if that is Elijah Moore, I think this becomes a little bit easier for me, unless that's DJ Moore for whatever reason. Is there any way we can get clarity?
Or
Rondell. I wish we get some clarification on the Moore brothers here on who we're going with. But in this one, I'm not a huge fan of this person this week, but just given those 3 names, I'd probably roll Antonio. It's Elijah Moore. All right, so I'm probably rolling Antonio Gibson on this one, just in the hopes that he gets off the schneid. He's been unproductive over the last few weeks, but you got to hope that he can right the ship. I'm not super confident in Brandon Ayuk on Monday Night Football. I'm not super confident in the Jets matchup this week. So this is the lesser of 3 evils for me.
Okay. Lou?
You're not going to like it. I'm going with Elijah Moore, and more for game flow purposes. I just feel like Buffalo, they're going to come out swinging, and the Jets are going to have to play catch up. And we just said White is going to be the quarterback, who's probably the best quarterback in the league right now. So I'm going to say Elijah Moore. You got to look at the last couple of games. He's been hitting double-digit fantasy points for the last couple of games. And I think he can really I love garbage time. That still counts. So I think he can get some nice garbage time too, regardless of that Buffalo secondary.
I'm Fake Jesus. We're not going to give you any sort of clarity because I'm going Brandon Ayuk here. And listen, the only real reason is this: Gibson's playing Tampa Bay, best rush defense in football. This feels like a J.D. McKissick game of the 2 of those guys, and that's a guy that I'm actually rolling out this week that I'm super hype on, especially in PPR. With Elijah Moore, going up against that Buffalo defense, that Buffalo secondary is tough, and Brandon Ayuk is getting off the schneid, and the 49ers are going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. So I'm going to roll Ayuk. Good luck trying to figure out which of us to listen to, because we're not coming to any sort of consensus here.
I'm going to tell you, it was close between Moore and Ayuk for me, because I feel like I'm assuming Ramsey's going to be covering Deebo, or so I felt like I would rather take my chances by Ayuk. He had a good game last week, so it was close. So if I'm Fake Jesus, if that's anything for you, go with Ayuk then.
There we go. All right. Another question coming in. I have Ernest Johnson as my second running back. I don't know if he'll have a good game against the Patriots defense. You are starting Ernest Johnson anywhere that you have him this week. There is literally no one else in town. It is him and 2 fullbacks. And this Patriots defense is not as good as you think it is against the run. Ernest Johnson is going to eat this week. I am rolling him anywhere that I have him. So I hope that gives you the confidence to play him this week.
Yeah, I'd say we can roll right through this question. You have to play Ernest without a doubt. I think Belichick's going to say, I'm going to let the run beat me. I'm just going to take Baker Mayfield out of this. I'm going to make him see ghosts. And to your point, this is just a pure volume play, and there's no other game in town, period.
Yeah, that's how I pretty much judge my fantasy football lineups, either from a receiver standpoint or running back. Whoever has the most volume, either targets or carries, because whoever has the most opportunities for touching the ball is going to give you the best chance to score more points. So I'm going to say you have to start Ernest regardless, because there's no one behind him.
Yeah, and he lit up Denver, man. That guy, it was like that Eminem lose yourself moment. He only got one shot, and he made sure he didn't miss it, man. And if he's going to be the only person there, because you have to remember, Demetric Felton was active in that Denver game. Demetric Felton's not even there. So there's no other game in town. It's got to be Ernest this week. Paul, what's up, buddy? Standard format, Deontay Johnson or Michael Pittman. Now, the caveat here is Mason Rudolph is starting. And in standard formats, really what you need is touchdowns. Deontay Johnson is a PPR darling. We know that. He's the king of 10 catches, 78 yards, which is good for 17 points because you're just stacking those catches. This one is a little bit closer now that we think about it. Lou, I'll start with you first on this one.
If Big Ben was playing, I would say definitely Deontay Johnson. I mean, we've seen enough from Mason Rudolph, in my opinion. I have no confidence whatsoever, even regardless going up against a young secondary of the Lions. And I know you can be a little concerned with Michael Pittman's flow, the game flow there. If it gets out of hand, they might not throw the ball as much. They might just be running it down the field. Running down the throats of Jacksonville. I'm still going to say Pittman because he has been balling out lately, and he has been, I just think he has gives you the best opportunity for a lower floor than Deontay Johnson.
Okay, yeah. Weston.
Regardless of Ben was playing, to me, this is still Michael Pittman. Jason, you hit the nail right on the head. What makes you the darling of fantasy football is you get in the end zone, and Michael Pittman gets in the end zone. He's a big body target down there, and he can drastically change weeks, even if he had a minimum production game, but still gets that one touchdown and gets you on the board. So this is Michael Pittman for me all day.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm actually in one standard league where my two wide receivers are Deontay Johnson and Michael Pittman. Unbelievable, right? And I'm having a tough time trying to figure out which of those two to bench because Russell Wilson's back and I have Tyler Lockett on my bench, and I haven't been rolling him since Russell Wilson left. So I'll get off the stream in a little bit and knock my head against the wall and try to figure that one out on my own because nobody cares about my fantasy team. We're here for you guys. So let's get to some more questions. Okay, Sin, 10-team PPR, Matt Ryan or Derek Carr? Weston, you want to start with this one? Matt Ryan against Dallas, Carr against Kansas City.
Yeah, this is Matt Ryan for me. He's been playing really well lately. I think he's a must start this week. He's just had consecutive weeks of actually 3 out of the last 4 weeks, 300+ yards, 2+ touchdowns every single game. And like we're gonna beat a dead horse here, and we're gonna talk about game flow. I think Dallas wakes up a little bit this week. In order for Atlanta to be competitive, they're going to have to move the ball down the field. And if that comes to fruition, then you won't regret having Matt Ryan in your lineup over Derek Carr.
Lou?
I actually have the same conundrum in my fantasy league right now, Matt Ryan or Carr. I'm actually going with Carr because how historically bad the Chiefs defense has been. And if the Chiefs, continue to, score on offense, I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Whereas let's not forget the fact that this is a Dan Quinn revenge game, as Jason said previously earlier this week. He's going to want to show the Falcons what they're missing in regards. And I think being the fact that Dallas got smacked around last week, I think they come out a little more. They come out with a little more fire on that defensive side of the ball. Obviously, no Ridley. So I'm saying Carr for this week. That's who I'm rolling with.
Yeah, Sin, I would say that either of these two are good options because what's going to be in Matt Ryan's favor, in my opinion, is that there's going to be some garbage time in here. I definitely think that Dallas is going to get right back on it. What Vic Fangio did last week to take away and confuse Dak Prescott, they ran a bunch of man match, cover one robber, and it was really confusing to them. Atlanta does not have the personnel to do that. So either way would be good. I'm going to lean Derek Carr here just because the Chiefs are going to score points. They're going to score points. I'll take the shootout tonight. So, but either way, I think that you should be good because Matt Ryan will have his garbage time. But if you're asking me to lean, who's going to have more points, I'll say Derek Carr. DeMarco Patterson asks, do I start Kyler or Matt Ryan? Doesn't look like Kyler's playing this week. And if you have to make a decision right now and you're waiting for game time, I'm just going to roll Matt Ryan just to be safe. And because even if Kyler's playing, he's a little bit banged up. What do you guys say about that?
Yeah, I don't think Kyler plays. I don't think there's that urgency. And so to me, I feel like I can't be wrong, right? This has got to be Matt Ryan. Feeling like the third wheel with some of these picks so far, but I think we'll all be on the same page here.
Yeah, I mean, they just said last week that there's some. I mean, yesterday there's some pessimism about Kyler playing as of last week too. Also, even if Kyler does play, I don't think Hopkins is playing either. So
Hopkins
he's
is out
losing one.
too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you got to roll Matt Ryan. That's a safe pick. That's an attractive pick too. So definitely Matt Ryan there.
Absolutely. Okay, this one's good. I like this one. John asks, Kyle Pitts or George Kittle? So here's what my question would be, John. Who is in your flex? Because I would love to play both of these gentlemen this week. But let's wait for that answer to roll in. Guns to your head. Weston, I'll start with you, man. Kyle Pitts, only game in town, or our man George Kittle, man.
Wow.
I could get both.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. You went tight end heavy. There's got to be a flex play here, and I'm curious to know that result. Gun to my head, I'm going to go George Kittle. I think if the 49ers want to be competitive in this game Monday night, they're going to have to force feed the rock to their best offensive weapon, and I still believe that to be number 85 on this team. But to me, this is splitting hairs. If you got to start one or the other, you got to be confident in either or based on matchups, game flows, etc. But gun to my head, I'm going number 85, George Kittle.
Oh.
It really doesn't matter because both are ridiculously great options. I'll go Kyle Pitts for the for game flow purposes. I do think Dallas is going to be able to put up a lot of points against the Atlanta defense. It's not very good, so in order to to play catch up, Matt Ryan, who last two questions we've been saying that we're high on Matt Ryan. So if we're high on Matt Ryan, that means we have to be high on his skill position players, right? His best skill position player right now is Kyle Pitts. So I'm going to say Kyle Pitts for this week.
Yeah, give me Pitts, but I'd like to play both of them. And in one league, my big money league, I have Kelsey and Kittle, and I start both of them every single week. I start Kelsey and I start Kittle because the advantage that you get. So I would love to start both of them. I'd be really interested to figure out what your flex option is because it would have to be very good for me to not find a way to start both of these guys. But if you're asking me who it would be, Kyle Pitts, only game in town with Ridley out. It's really just him, Russell Gage, and Zacchaeus. So give me Pitts in this one. Sean, aloha, Sean. Michael Gallup over Donovan Peoples-Jones. This is a really good one because Michael Gallup is back off of IR this week, finally activated. And I feel like he's the forgotten member of the three because, CeeDee Lamb is so good and obviously so is Amari Cooper. But Michael Gallup is an absolute baller. Guys, what would you say? And I'll start with Lou on this one.
Okay, so this is interesting because I'm not sure if anyone has seen what Amari Cooper said earlier this week, that Denver didn't really shut them down, right? So what happened basically was Amari says he's banged up, he can't run. CeeDee Lamb is banged up, he can't run. And that was like the whole thought process. Like, that's the only reason why we shut down. They didn't do anything different that they thought they were going to do on defense, Cooper said. So if they are truly banged up, that makes Gallup a little more attractive. That being said, I do think they're going to run the ball more against this Atlanta defense. And I'm a big fan of Peoples-Jones. And I understand the secondary of New England is pretty highly touted. But I'm going to still say Peoples-Jones on here. I feel like you can get one of those deep shots from Baker. So give me Peoples-Jones. There's just too many options in Dallas. You got the two running backs. You got their tight end. You got Lamb. You got Cooper. And he's coming back from an injury. There could be some rust. There's just too much going on there with Gallup. I do like him for the rest of the year, though.
Yeah.
Weston?
Yeah, this is why I love fantasy football, right? Because Peoples-Jones is not necessarily a possession wide receiver with a ton of production, right? He's like boomer bust, big play, might get you that 50, 60-yard catch down the field. Hopefully it goes for a touchdown for you. I agree that Gallup is the long-term play here because if you go back to earlier in the season, he certainly outproduced the other CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. Like, he was the darling of the town because he was the often forgotten child who was just out there running free in secondaries. My hesitancy around Gallup this week is just coming back from IR, week one back, like game shape, things of that nature. How many targets does he see? That being said, I'm still playing Michael Gallup.
All of those concerns are mine too, and I'm rolling Michael Gallup as well. And if anybody who is watching this, Michael Gallup is available right now at 12:14. You need to pick him up and have him stash him on your bench. He may not be a must start this week, but I do love his chances for being a playoff darling and somebody who can help carry your team as a wide receiver 2, 3 flex play, especially in PPR leagues. Michael Gallup is a baller, and if you had him on your team, I mean, unless you don't have IR spots, I understand dropping him, but you should have been holding him this entire time. I agree with that as well too. Savarius is asking, Aaron Rodgers, it is snowing in Green Bay or Teddy Bridgewater this week. They have Philadelphia. Rodgers against Seattle. Teddy Bridgewater against the Philadelphia Eagles. Weston, I'll start with you, man.
All right. So I think Philadelphia's secondary is slept on. I think that is a stronger position fielding on their defense. And I'm not worried about snow in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers has been playing there how long? Like, he's a professional. He's the best in the game. He knows exactly what he's doing. When Aaron Rodgers is playing, how do you justify not playing him regardless of weather? So to me, this is Aaron Rodgers.
Lou?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. You got to start your studs because you're going to kick yourself in the ass if you try to get too cute and you start like, these, trendy picks. And I understand the Eagles defense, the passing defense hasn't been that great this year. Justin Herbert carved them up. I think they had 2 or 3 other quarterbacks that had 80% completion percentage against them this year. So I understand you don't get too cute here, though. You got to start Rodgers, and I get the whole snowing Green Bay, but you have to understand. I'm not sure if anyone remember that game against the Lions and Eagles. That game there was a lot of scoring in there, so it actually favors the offense as opposed to the defense when it snows. So I still think there's going to be a high offensive output from Rodgers. So I'm definitely going to say Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm going Rodgers here for 2 reasons. One, this seems like an FU game because of all of the talk around him, and I think that he's going to come out here and he's going to be firing. But 2, it's also what can you deal with? I can deal with Teddy Bridgewater blowing up on my bench, but I cannot deal with watching Aaron Rodgers blow up on my bench and looking at that all week while you wait for next week. I can't do it. So I'm starting Rodgers here. He knows how to navigate the snow, and he's upset. He's angry. He's angry. He's angry. Angry Aaron. I'm playing him this week. All right. Is Deebo a must start? He's my wide receiver 2 after Deontay Johnson. From past games, Deebo's been cooking that secondary and the Rams D as a whole. What do you guys think? I'm going to start this one. You have to play Deebo Samuel every single week. Does not matter the matchup. He's too important to this offense, and you dance with the girl that's brought you to the prom. That's it. He's gotten you here this far. I don't see how you can even think about benching him at this point.
I love that sentiment, dancing with the girl you brought to the prom. I haven't heard that in a long time, but it certainly reigns absolutely true here. Here's the reality. I know we weren't going to talk about 49ers, right? But I think the 49ers struggle. I still think Kyle Shanahan's going to have a good offensive game plan going into this, and it absolutely involves number 19. It's involved number 19 all year. The struggles are going to be, can we contain their offense? That's what I'm more concerned about. Deebo I'm just going to pause right here. Like, you have to play Deebo Samuel if he's on your roster, period. Point blank, done.
Luke?
I just said it on the previous question. You got to start your studs. I'm a sucker for that. So Deebo's a stud. You got to start him. And I think possibly with the emergence of Brandon Ayuk, that can actually free up Deebo for other ways you can utilize him. And you guys do have experience when it comes to playing against the Rams. You play them really well from an offensive standpoint. So I can definitely see with the emergence of Ayuk, getting back into the game flow. I feel like they can use Deebo for numerous different ways. So you have to start Deebo.
Okay, this one's going to get tough. We're going to get the screws put to us now. Vader Joe asks 10-team PPR, lots of options. RB2, Elijah Mitchell, Mark Ingram. Remember, no Alvin Kamara this week, so Mark Ingram's the only show in town right now. Flex one of the previous 2, or Emmanuel Sanders, Jacoby Myers, Van Jefferson, or Dawson Knox. Now, a little bit of context with those guys. Emmanuel Sanders, Dawson Knox is back right now. So one of those guys between Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, and Dawson Knox is going to take a shot down on their targets, right? Jacoby Myers is basically their wide receiver 1, for some reason, allergic to the end zone. Has an historic rate of never scoring in this league. And Van Jefferson is getting slid up in the depth chart because, unfortunately, Robert Woods did tear his ACL Friday in a freak accident, which he finished practice somehow, and then they found out later on that he tore his ACL. So let's start with the first question. Elijah Mitchell against the Rams, Mark Ingram, and New Orleans has, goodness gracious, why can't I remember?
Tennessee.
So Weston, I'll start with you. Roll with the kid Elijah or go with the old vet who is by himself, Mark Ingram?
I'm going to go with the kid. Yeah, I'm going to go with the kid. I know Ingram's got some sex appeal this week, but when I look at who's playing under center there and I'm thinking about how the defense is going to scheme me up, I think the only thing they got to do is really take away the run to eliminate any offensive threat. So for me, I just think on paper, the 49ers offense is a little bit more dynamic, having a little bit more weapons. And when they're at their best, they're running the football, and we need to get back to our best. So they're going to run the football, and the football flows through number 25. So to me, it's the kid.
Cool. Lou?
I agree exactly with the same exact sentiment. But Ingram actually has had a pretty good year this year, I feel like. I think I saw something he's like top 10 or something in rushing yards. Could be mistaken, but I felt like he's doing pretty good this year. But it has to be Mitchell. There's no weapons to help Ingram where he is a red zone type of guy. I feel like it's going to be hard for them to get into the red zone. So I know he can catch the ball and what have you, but I just feel like Mitchell's a safer play here. Shanahan has proved time and time again he can run against that Rams defense. So I'm going to say Mitchell for the first one.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a bow on this and tell you what you need to do. You need to start Mitchell and Mark Ingram. If you have a chance to flex Mark Ingram, you start him this week because he's very safe. They're going to get him the ball. He had about 15, 16 touches, and 4 of them were receptions. So that really can make your day, and he can find a way to be productive for you without scoring a touchdown. If he scores a touchdown, that's just gravy on top. Those other guys, I don't know what Emmanuel Sanders is about. Myers, who knows how much the Patriots are actually going to have to throw in this game. Van Jefferson, you're taking a chance on the fact that he's being elevated, and Dawson Knox first game back. I don't really think that they're really going to need to throw that much against the Jets. So if you're asking who you should be playing, I'm starting Mitchell and Ingram. I'm not looking back, at least from these options. Would you guys agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, me too. I think the only other to throw a wrench in the discussion here is I do think out of all those other names, Van Jefferson has the most upside. I think if you're not Vader Joe in this scenario, Van Jefferson's definitely somebody I would consider in a flex, or if I got injuries at wide receiver, bye week, whatever it might be, because I do think Sean McVay has a pretty natural way of making sure the number 2, if he's sliding up the depth charts in the first week that OBJ is coming in, getting acclimated to the offense. Jefferson's had 7+ targets over the last 3 weeks, even with Robert Woods there. So they're finding ways to get creative with this guy. And I think he's got a pretty good skill set, but based on what I see on my screen right here, I 100% agree it's Mitchell and Ingram.
Now, Weston, real quick, that's 100% logical what you just said right there, but how many times is fantasy football logical? Look what happened when Miles Sanders went out with the Eagles. Everyone, raced to the waiver wire to get Gainwell, raced to get Boston Scott, and guess who's like their starting running back now? Jordan Howard, who's been on the practice squad. So that's a logical thought process. It's smart, so that probably means it's wrong.
You're probably right.
Well, as crazy as last week was, so who's to say that things are actually going to be normal this week? And it doesn't seem like that's true. So, Long Island Girl is asking, should I start Thielen? He's been so up and down. It depends on your other options. I wanted to talk real quick because all offseason when I was giving fantasy football advice, I was out on Adam Thielen at his ADP simply because I believe it was about 67 or 70% of his points were off of touchdowns last year. And I felt that was completely unsustainable. But guess what? Here we are again. His ADP was like around number 13 to 15. He's the number 13 receiver right now because of what? Touchdowns. And I get it, the up and down portion of it, but this is what I was afraid of. But somehow he's just continuing to produce at this level. So I would ask this. We'll wait for your comment to come back in before we give you any more advice here. Who are your other options and who could you possibly start over Adam Thielen? As of right now, I would say start him just because you might not have a better option on your bench at this point. But let's keep going. John, James Conner in the flex, Collar isn't playing. You're starting James Conner.
Yeah.
Must start. Absolute must start. I believe he's got 8 carries in the red zone, 7 for touchdowns. You saw what they did last week against the 49ers. They're going to involve him. It's really just him and Eno Benjamin. And especially now you're talking about DeAndre Hopkins not being there. Rondale Moore's a little bit banged up. AJ Green is back off of the COVID list, so he will be playing. But James Conner's an absolute must start this week. Absolute must start.
Yeah, no question about it. And so if Kyler is definitively not playing, there are 2 things in this world that are a backup quarterback's best friend. Number 1 is a running game, right? They're going to move the ball on the ground. Second is the tight end. We'll get to that if we get to tight end discussions. But the number 1 most important thing is a solid running game. You saw what he did last week in focal time. Catches the ball out of the backfield. This guy, again, with Eno Benjamin, who might take 5 or 6 touches, like the bulk of the offense is going to go through James Conner.
Yeah, and I can understand being a little concerned because they're playing the Panthers, and the Panthers defense is up and coming, a little stingy against running backs. But you have to, once again, look on the other side of the ball for the Panthers. PJ Walker is starting. So I pitch a lot of 3 and outs on that offensive side. I know, Christian McCaffrey's, is back and what have you, but I think Connor will have a tremendous amount of opportunity. It might not be pretty. It might be 18 carries, 60-something yards and a couple of touchdowns, but he's still going to get you those points because of the sheer volume that he's going to have.
All right, awesome. Sin, thanks for the question again. Tyreek Hill equal big loser last week. D-Hop also disappointed. So D-Hop's not playing, so he's out of this. For wide receiver flex, other options, Eyuk, DJ Moore. So look, with Tyreek Hill, you're starting Tyreek Hill because you'll take those peaks and valleys because when he booms, it wins your week. And he's been very good. Last week obviously wasn't it, but the week before, I believe he had something like ridiculous, like 11 catches, like for like 98 yards. That's like 20 points right there, without a touchdown. So yeah, you have to play Tyreek Hill because again, Sin, what can you deal with? I can't deal with looking on my bench and seeing Tyreek Hill with 40 points in this game. That should be a shootout against the Raiders tonight. So I think the question, I think we should all agree on that one. I think that Tyreek Hill is going to be there. So we'll stay away from that one. With Hopkins out, for the other wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk or DJ Moore. And this hurts me the most because I am the biggest DJ Moore fan this side of Carolina, honestly. But unfortunately, with the way that Sam Darnold has tapered off, because DJ Moore was on a blazing start and it coincided with Sam Darnold throwing the ball, PJ Walker starting. This is a lot closer than it should be. This should be a slam dunk, no questions asked, start DJ Moore. But Weston, and I'll start with you. Brandon Ayuk on Monday Night Football or DJ Moore this week against who's Carolina playing? We just mentioned it. Arizona.
Yeah, so first shout out to Sin. She's great on 49ers Twitter. So
yes,
love that she's tuning in and throwing some questions. She's fantastic. This is easy for me for everything that you just said.
1 second. We just had breaking news come across from Jay Glazer. I'm sorry, and this is fantasy relevant. Rams rookie Ben Skowronek to fill Robert Woods' role.
Well, I don't even know what that means, Jason.
Van Jefferson people. Jay Glazer doesn't miss, and he's not holding that from nowhere.
Hold on. I think we have to take that for a grain of salt for the fact that it's been lauded how important Robert Woods has been in the running game as a blocker or what have you. So yeah, he might take over for Robert Woods on certain type of I think plays and what have you. But he's not going to be putting up Robert Wood numbers. Van Jefferson's definitely I think is the better play.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Out of me. I don't know. That scares the hell out of me.
Could you pick him up in a lineup?
Yeah. No. Is OBJ?
No, I'm not putting him in a lineup. That just keeps me away from Van Jefferson. I feel like that's not pick whoever that guy is up. It's just that. I'm sorry, Watson. Go ahead. Keep going.
No. So back to Sin's point. So to me, this is really easy. DJ Moore came out of the gates on fire, but Carolina was also winning. He's been a complete disappointment outside of week 3 for the remainder of the season. Why do I know this? Because I carry him in 2 of my fantasy leagues. So I'm familiar with this disappointment. I know it hurts to wait till Monday night to see how your fantasy week is going to stack up. But to me, this is Brandon Ayuk. DJ Moore has shown me nothing over the last 6 weeks that says, like, if I'm in a conundrum, I'm going the opposite direction right now. And to the opposite direction is Brandon Ayuk based on Sin's options.
Nope.
Yeah, let's chase those points, baby. Let's get Brandon Ayuk in there. He did good last week, and like we've been saying it earlier in the show, that we're all kind of high on Brandon Ayuk. I will say though, to play devil's advocate here, we've all agreed Sam Darnold's been pretty awful, right?
Yep.
How much worse? I was going to say, how much worse can the quarterback position? We talked about this on our show, that when you're a backup quarterback, you have that mentality. It's like, what do I have to lose? So you just go ahead and ball. And who knows what PG Walker could do for this one game? But I still think it's Ayuk. Let's chase those points.
Oh my goodness, man. I don't want to have to answer this. I really don't. I don't like this. I don't like this question. All right. My brain is telling me go with Ayuk, but I'm going to go with my heart and my gut. I think this might be the week that DJ Moore actually kind of produces. And since in a PPR league, right? So necessarily what you're looking for is a floor of 10. If you get 5 for 50, that's 10. And I think that's absolutely in DJ Moore's realm of possibilities. Robbie Anderson is just not a part of that offense anymore at this point. It really is just going to flow through Christian McCaffrey, and I think DJ Moore should be fine. I'm going to take the safe play right here, and I'm going to go with DJ Moore, but that's just more my heart talking than it is my brain at this point, Sin. So, I mean, Weston brings up some great points, and the same thing with Lou. I mean, I just can't. I can't. My heart will not allow me to make such decisions, so that's just me. Harry, Van Jefferson, A.J. Dillon, Javonte Williams, or Ramondre PPR. This one is really good. Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to eliminate two of them, if you ask me. We're eliminating Van Jefferson, and we're going to eliminate A.J. Dillon. Javonte Williams is get this man the ball more. Melvin Gordon, go away. Go away already.
Gordon has been somewhat... I don't know. He hasn't been a bum. He hasn't been a bum.
No, he hasn't. He's just in the way. That's the problem, right? Like, it's just you're in the way right now. Javonte Williams is so good. But the Ramondre Stevenson thing is really, really interesting, right? Damian Harris is out. Brandon Bolden's the only other person that'll be right there in the running back situation. And this is PPR. Ramondre Stevenson has shown that he can catch passes. He's very much involved right now, and he's going to be the only guy in town. But the whole Belichick running back thing, I'll start with you, Weston. We kind of knocked out two, if you guys agree with that. I don't want to play either of those two right now, Javonte or Ramondre.
Well, before Jay Glazer's breaking news, this one was easy for me, but now I got to change talk tracks here. So I agree with you. I'm looking at the latter two here, Javonte or Ramondre. Ramondre sounds like an awesome hip hop group. Javonte and
Ramondre.
But that
are they from Tribe Called Quest?
Shout out to Tribe. That being said, Ramondre I loved him coming out of the preseason. He was just one of those guys who was balling, doing everything that was asked of him, got immediately in Bill's doghouse. So my heart says Ramondre because I know he can do it. I know he's talented, but he's got to get the opportunity. And you just said everything. And why I didn't want to go first in this scenario, Jason, is because I don't know what happens with Bill Belichick's backfield. You think one thing, and it's like there's like a practice squad guy that they'll have in there this week that wouldn't even know about that'll go off for 150. So I'm going to say Javonte. I'm going to say Javonte for if the opportunity is there, he's going to have the most to do with it. So I'm going to say Javonte Williams in this scenario. But this is a very interesting conundrum for Harry.
Okay, absolutely. So take it from the guy who told everyone to start Le'Veon Bell this past Thursday. I know
which I did.
So take this with a grain of salt. I actually think this is more of a Brandon Bolden type of game with that pass rush from the Browns. I feel like Mac Jones is going to get the ball out of his hand quicker, and I just feel like this is more of like a Brandon Bolden type of game. I'm going Javonte here. He's been doing fantastic. He's kind of boom or bust on his run, so he's one of the running backs that will keep on, like, he'll run 4 times for like 4 yards and then bust one out for 25 yards. So I think he can do some damage against this Eagles defense, especially we were talking about, the Eagles defense, passing defense hasn't been good at all this year. So I think you get some red zone opportunity play right there. So I definitely think as the season goes on, they're going to want to, showcase Javonte more. So I'm going to say Javonte for me.
I'm going Javonte. This is his breakout week, and that's my bold prediction. This is the week where he just it goes insane, finally scores a touchdown, maybe 2 this week. He was so good last week. He literally is a machine. He has the volume to do it, right? It's not great like you would love 100%, but he still is able to produce what he's given. Give him these 2 options. I'm going to go Javonte, but to give you a little bit of context where I'm at with Ramondre, I am starting him over Michael Carter in a league because I just don't know what that offense is going to look like against the Buffalo Bills. And that's half PPR. I feel better about that. But at the same time, with our luck, it'll be a Brandon Bolden week where he gets literally every single snap and he's the one who scores all the touchdowns. So, RJ, I'm going to start the running backs. Who do I start? Well, you got to tell me your options so we can figure it out. Here we go. I'm going to start 3 running backs. Who do I start? Ingram, Johnson, Williams, Mitchell. Woo! First of all, let's give you the must start. To Ernest. There's your must. That's one. Now we have to pick 2 from Ingram, Javonte, and Elijah Mitchell. Lou, I'm passing this off to you. I don't want to start this one, man.
Okay, so I have to pick 3. So you definitely start. We're lauding how we all feel. I'm starting Javonte too in my line too. So I'm practicing what I'm preaching here. So definitely Williams, definitely Johnson. And I don't know. I'm a sucker for Shanahan running backs. I'm going to say Mitchell for me.
Okay. Weston.
Yeah, I'm the same 3. For all those reasons, right? I too am a sucker for Kyle Shanahan and his running backs. I'm still a little hesitant on Ingram, even though I am starting him in my own league, but I don't have these options that are displayed in front of me. We pounded the table for Ernest. We just talked about how, Jason, bold prediction, folks. Like Jason just said, hey, this is Javonte Williams' week. So how do you not go with those 3?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit Ingram here, but these are great options. You have a really amazing team, but that's the problem with having so many great options is you tend to overthink things. But look, the Ernest is a must start. He's the only game in town. Elijah's been playing so well, and you figure that they're gonna involve him a bunch. And yes, this is Javonte week, I believe. So yeah, you were gonna start those three, but great options, man. Real quick before we get to a donation, Cole Beasley or Van Jefferson, give me Cole. He's an extension of the running game. They literally he literally had. I looked up and I saw that he had 17 catches, and I'm like, 17 points last week, and I was like, how the hell did that happen? He had like 11 catches for like 67 yards, and it's just like in a PPR league, you really can't go away from that. He's as safe as it gets when it comes to that.
Yeah, he is the ultimate safety net in the NFL, right? Like he is the definition of reliable, open at all times. He is 7-Eleven, 24/7, Cole Beasley all day in this scenario.
For PPR, Van Jefferson is not gonna. That's not where his bread and butter is. He's more of that deep threat. Cole Beasley, he's more the intermediary, so that's why he's going to be more valuable in the PPR format. I definitely think it's Cole Beasley. However, Dawson Knox is coming back. I don't expect Knox to have a breakout game today, but that's going to affect Beasley's targets, I feel like, over in the middle of the field. So I'm definitely going to say Beasley here, but watch out. I feel a little regression coming from Beasley this later on this year.
Yep, Matt, thank you for the donation. Appreciate you. Odell, McKissick, Elijah Moore, Gallup, full PPR. Thanks, guys. Woo, man. So if you have to start one from these guys, who's going to make me feel the safest? It's going to be J.D. McKissick, and I'm going to lay it out for you real quick. They are going to be playing the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're going to stuff that run. Heineke loves to throw the ball to him. They're not going to have too much success on the ground with Gibson. I feel this is going to be a J.D. McKissick, one of those 10 catches, 77-yard type games, which is 17 points in a PPR league. You want to talk about safe? I don't think it gets any safer than J.D. McKissick at this point.
I'm out of these four. I'm rolling with J.D. McKissick. We talked about Elijah Moore, maybe a little bit of a tougher matchup. Gallup, hey, first week back, coming off IR. I really am not confident in Odell's immediate impact in this offense on a Monday night on a short learning curve, even though he is uber talented. So McKissick feels much more like the sure thing in a full PPR league. And to your point, right? Like game flow, 7, 8, 10 catches possibly from McKissick today.
Yeah, I'm just going to exactly repeat the sentiment. If I had to rank these guys, it's McKissick, Moore, Gallup, then Odell for me. So, I mean, we're just beating a dead horse here. So we all know it's going to be McKissick.
Right. Matt says, go to thumbnail picture, by the way. What a great show. He's referring to the league. It is one of my favorite shows of all time. And anytime fantasy football starts, I immediately go and do a rewatch. So I agree with you there. It Interrupts is asking Mike Williams or James Conner. I don't really think that this matters in format. I think it's James Conner. He's an absolute start this week. But Lou, I'll go to you. Talk to me about why, obviously, besides the fact that Conner's the only game in town, what's going on with Mike Williams right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be interesting. It is James Conner from more of a volume standpoint. Mike Williams has cooled off the last 3 weeks and what have you. But that Minnesota Vikings defense is pretty banged up. There's no Harrison Smith. Anthony Barr is out. Their nose tackle, Michael Pierce, is out. Daniel Hunter is out. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I think this is where Mike Williams kind of gets back on track. However, from a sheer volume standpoint, I always go towards a running back over receiver because they're going to touch the ball when it comes to rushing, and there's also an opportunity for Conner to catch the ball too. I'm going to say Conner here, but Mike Williams is also a good option. But for me, it's Conner.
Yeah. Mike Williams is a sexy option if you have him in a flex opportunity. You got some, and not in this scenario, right? In this scenario, if it's between these two, it's James Conner. I think in fantasy football, not to be redundant, but you always have to err on the side of who's going to get the guaranteed most touches outside of injury, and unquestionably, it's the running back James Conner in this instance.
Absolutely. Okay. Sin says she's starting Mitchell. Let's go. Let's ride. I'm starting him anywhere I got him. Vader Joe says, thank you guys for confirming my gut feeling. You're welcome. Long Island Girl, if it's Thielen or Jordan Howard, roll Thielen at this point. Jordan Howard offers you no sort of catches, anything like that. You're banking on a touchdown and just sheer rushing yards. That's something I want to stay away from. I know that Thielen is up and down because he relies so heavily on touchdowns, but I couldn't see myself benching Adam Thielen for Jordan Howard at this point.
Jason, real quick on that point, right? Like, I think you said something so amazing when you talked about like, hey, I can't lose with Aaron Rodgers on the bench. Like, don't you kind of feel the same way about Adam Thielen? You drafted him high, right? Invested value. Like, I just want to lose with my top guys that I invested in my lineup, not on my bench.
Yep. This is great because everybody knows how I feel about kickers. We got a kicker question here.
Kickers are people too.
No, they aren't. They are absolutely not. But let's go. Young Wei Koo and Ryan Suckup. I think the answer would be cool, but I'm just wondering what you guys think. Look, when it comes to kickers in fantasy football, if you think that I don't think much of them in real life, I think even less of them in fantasy football. I really don't care, and I just will put any of them in there at this point. But if you're going to ask me all right, so the way that I'm going to look at it is Koo in Atlanta. Do you think that they're going to stall out in drives and they're going to be kicking field goals? And Suckup, Tennessee against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have an amazing defense. I mean, toss last week aside, right? From the way that Atlanta came back and won that game, Saints have a really good defense. So they'll get stopped there too, I think. I really don't think you can go wrong here either way, but I'm going to go Koo here just because I trust Matt Ryan to at least put his team in position to kick more field goals than the Titans, even though they kind of washed out the Rams last week against New Orleans.
Can I say something? Suckup is actually it shows how much you don't like kickers. He's on Tampa Bay.
There you go.
Yeah, he's playing Washington.
Oh, wait. So if he's on Tampa Bay, that's different. Okay, all right, I'll take it back. That's how much I definitely don't care about it. Like literally in my home league, I dropped my kicker to pick up the Ernest Johnson, and I have no kicker playing right now, and I'm just gonna see how it goes. I really don't care. I'll play it out as it goes. Whatever. I'm gonna go Koo here, even though that's a suck up. But yeah, that's really funny that this came up.
Yeah, I'm going Koo as well. I think Suckup's kicking a lot of extra points today, and I think Koo's gonna be capitalizing off of maybe some stalled drives. So and he is phenomenal from 50 plus. So if he gets a few of those opportunities, I know Jason, if we were talking about punters, you'd care a little bit more than if we were talking about kickers. So looking forward to when you start that league.
Weston. Don't even start, man. Don't even start.
My bad. I'm going Young Wei Koo.
No, all right. You're good. Interrupts Mike Williams or Brandon Ayuk. Lou, I'll let you take this one because you know Mike Williams a little bit better, and we know Ayuk.
Yeah, so for me, it depends. When you're looking at like the matchups like this, if you need a higher ceiling or a higher floor or what have you, for me, I'm going Mike Williams. I know he hasn't been good the last couple of weeks. I do think this is going to, like I said, I just said before, the Vikings defense is banged up. No Adrian Peter, what's his name? Their cornerback, Peterson, Harrison Smith's out too. I think this is going to be a game where both teams go back and forth. The Chargers secondary is also banged up, so I think there's going to be a lot of scoring here. So I'm going to go Mike Williams because if I would want a higher ceiling.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at this like, okay, I'm looking at my predictions, right? If I'm predicted to lose this week by 20, 30, 40 points in fantasy based on my lineup, like I got to go with the higher boom or bust. In this instance, it is Mike Williams. And the reason why I say that is I'm much more confident in the quarterback play as to who's getting Mike Williams the ball against a banged up defense. A lot of things. We sound contradictory because we've been lauding Eyuk a lot, but in different scenarios. But in this exact scenario, it'd be Mike Williams for me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Eyuk. We're 18 minutes from kickoff, so we're going to run through these a little bit quicker. I'm going to put these up, and we're just going to have to pick one because we got to get people going, and we got to get ready for kickoff ourselves. So pick one, Jordan Howard, Ramondre, or Antonio Gibson. Lou, go first.
Stevenson.
Weston. Stevenson for me as well, too. Let's see. Same question. Okay. Did my super chat work? Did it mean the start for this week? Okay. Flex, Tavarius, Fournette or Moss? Fournette.
No, yeah, 100% Fournette.
Yeah, 100% Fournette too.
Sin, in my Yahoo league, should I start Russell Wilson or Carson Wentz? I'm gonna go Wentz here in this one.
I'm gonna go Wentz as well.
Yeah, I am gonna go Wentz too.
Okay, cool. Also, Mitchell or Aaron Jones. I'm only saying this because Mitchell's really good and Aaron Jones is not even getting involved in that freaking offense. Play both of them. Please play both of them.
Yeah. If you have the opportunity to play both. If you don't, snow game, maybe Aaron Jones gets a little more love.
I agree. Rodgers is back. I think he has some more maybe red zone opportunity. So Aaron Jones.
Whoo, Mitchell or DeErnest. I'm going DeErnest here.
DeErnest.
I'll go DeErnest too. That's a good one.
Yeah, it is. George Van Jeff or Deontay Johnson need to save 15 points. You know what? I'm scared, but I'm still gonna roll Deontay. You still have to go with him right now. The ceiling is like lowered, but I think he'll still be fine. That's the problem. He could have had a big boom week if Ben was here.
20 minutes ago, I would have said Van Jeff, but some recent announcements, I'm going Deontay.
I'm just repeating you guys, yeah.
All right, Jerry Judy or Emmanuel Sanders. I'm gonna go Judy here, actually, just because I don't know what the target share is gonna be.
Judy.
Yeah, Judy's looked good. So and the Eagles' pass defense is not good. So yeah.
Ooh, Rams D or Niners D. This hurts me to say, but Rams. I think at this point you got to see what they got here.
Rams. I'm looking who's under center. Rams.
Yeah, I concur.
All right. Alex, Tim Patrick or Jordan Howard. If it's PPR, we're going to roll Tim Patrick. If it's standard, then we're going to go Howard in my eyes.
I totally agree. I think Tim Patrick cools off of last week, but it's Tim Patrick in this scenario, especially if it's PPR.
I think Jordan Howard for me. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry to be like that
No,
guy.
you're good. Thank you for the donation, Crescent Cannon. I appreciate that. Greetings from Fusa, Japan. I'm in a weird league with 5 running backs. I have Najee and Jones, but I'm torn on the last 3 picks. Henderson, Jacobs, Ernest, or Elijah Mitchell. I think if you have to pick 3, we're going to go Henderson, Johnson, and Elijah Mitchell here. I don't want any part of Josh Jacobs just because of how funky the way that they use both of those guys.
Yeah, shout out to Japan. Awesome to hear from you, but I'm going Henderson, Johnson, and Mitchell as well.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with any of those options because of the Chiefs. Defense is so bad. But yeah, I am agreeing with you guys once again.
All right. Godwin versus Washington or Deontay Johnson versus Detroit. Ooh, man. Is there a way you can play both? But if you're asking me, gun to my head at this point, give me Godwin. With Antonio Brown not there and Gronk is out, it'll just be Godwin and Evans, and they're going to feast on that secondary.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I'm 100% in line with you there.
Me too. Godwin's been eaten. We already talked about no Ben, so this is Godwin.
Okay. Hey, I have 2 flexes, and I have Tim Patrick, Cole Beasley, Elijah Moore, and Zach Ertz. I don't know who should I put in my 2 flexes. Woof, man. If we're talking about PPR, then I'm going to roll Beasley and Patrick, I think, at this point, just because of the connection that him and Teddy have been showing. I don't know if you guys agree with that one.
Go ahead, Lou.
I'm definitely gonna say Beasley, but I know you guys think it's crazy. I'm gonna say Moore. Like I said, I just think he can get a lot of garbage points.
Yeah, I'm Beasley and Moore on this one as well. Just garbage points if it's PPR, just target share.
There you go, 2 over 1. All right. OBJ or Ayuk? Roll Brandon Ayuk this week over him.
Ayuk.
Yep.
Or OBJ, McLaurin, and Ayuk. Then you're rolling Scary Terry and Ayuk.
100% agree.
When are you never rolling with McLaurin?
McLaurin's got to start every single week for you.
Exactly.
Sin's asking Ayuk or Judy flex. Woo.
I'll start this one. I'm high on Judy this. I'm sorry if you don't. I'm high on Judy this year. We keep on saying how bad that Eagles defense, and I really think Judy's going to have a great game this week.
Sin's coming with fire today. She's getting her lineups in order
team
right away. Yeah, I love her teams. I too think Judy. I think he's just getting back into the offense. He's getting back his target share. So I'm going to roll with Judy as well here.
Yep, and it's unanimous. Although I love both of these options, you should be good this week as well too. Daniel O, hey, start 2. Lamb, Keenan, or Pittman. Wow.
Ooh.
I mean, Keenan Allen's a must start. There's no way that you're not playing him, right? So this is really going to come down to Pittman or CeeDee Lamb. In this one, I'm just going to go CeeDee right here because I feel like this is a get-right game for Dallas. They're going to throw the ball, and I think this team is going to rally around Dan Quinn to get some revenge on his team.
Yeah, no way you don't start Keenan, so you take that right out of the equation. And based on everything we've talked about today, CeeDee Lamb would be the second for me.
I'll say Allen and Lamb, but if Lamb puts up a poor game this week, I think he might be more hurt than we think.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the great help. My team is looking amazing now. Long Island girl. Thanks, guys. Love the show. Thank you so much as well, too. And this will probably be the last question that we'll take because we're getting 12 minutes of the kickoff. Adrian Peterson versus New Orleans or Michael Carter versus Buffalo. Big Michael Carter guy right here. I'm going to roll Michael Carter. I think that he's, again, garbage time. They throw him the ball. Mike White checks down a bunch. Michael Carter is going to be the play here for me.
Yeah, I'm Michael Carter here as well. Although I do think AP looks a little bit better than he did the week before. Just another
revenge game too.
Yeah, 100%. But to me, this is Michael Carter game flow, and he does more for you out of the backfield.
A third of the games Peterson plays can be revenge games.
Revenge games. Yeah. These are revenge games.
That doesn't really hold too much more. Yeah, Carter. For everything you just said, Jason, the game flow, the dump offs, and what have you, he's been pretty good too. So I'm going to say Carter as well. Peterson, you're relying too much on a touchdown with that defense.
Exactly, and he won't catch any passes. I'll take one more from Paul. Renfro or DK and PPR. Don't overthink this one. Even in the snow, Russell Wilson's back. I gotta roll DK in this one in PPR.
There's just too much upside to DK. You can't not play him.
I think it's closer than you think, but I will say
it
DK. I think it's really close.
Yeah. Thank you, Sin, for tuning in. You're awesome. You're always great on these shows and everything. Eli, Jason's so inspirational, man. Hey, I'm just working, man. We just try to work. So look, thank you to Weston and Lou. Guys, let them know where they can subscribe to your podcast and all the other things that you have on your social as well, too, before we get out here.
Lou, I always leave it to you, so go ahead.
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at WTFPodNFL, and search for us on Spotify, iTunes, or SoundCloud at We're Talking Football. Thanks again, Jason.
Jason, really appreciate it, man. Good luck, everybody, this week.
Yep.
Good luck. Let's get some wins, and let's get the playoff push going. So, for Jason, for Weston, for Lou, thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the games today, and let's get some W's.
All right.
Welcome, everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte.